Daily Devotion with Pastor Balla for July 1st, 2023, from Proverbs chapter 29, verse 1. He who is often reproved, yet stiffens his neck, will suddenly be broken beyond healing. How many times does it take to warn somebody, to get them to change, but yet they still don't change? This isn't a case of selected hearing, because the Proverbs states that the person has stiffened their neck. That means they will never budge on the issue. Talk about stubbornness. But we need to remember that when we are talking about stubbornness, about the things of God, that's in a different category, because that's in the category of refusing to repent, to acknowledge one's sin, that is, to turn away from sin, the result of which is they will be broken beyond healing. That's a reference to being eternally separated from God, who is the source of all healing and life. When will that eternal separation take place? On the last day, when they are cast into hell. Verse 2, when the righteous increase, the people rejoice. But when the wicked rule, the people groan. This verse reminds us that as Christians, we do make a difference in this world, in our country, in our state, and in our communities. When Christians grow, there is more opportunity for service and leadership positions, and Christians usually having a high degree of fairness, so to speak, which is good for the community. But when the wicked people rule, the people of the community grow. So a little bit of encouragement for Christians here to step into those leadership positions and do so with integrity. Verse 3, he who loves wisdom makes his father glad, but a companion of prostitutes squanders his wealth. Now, this proverb notes that wisdom should be avoiding evil. And as Christians, we should always be avoiding evil, because not only does it make our family glad, but it also keeps our focus upon God, which also makes our family glad. But there's an interesting point here. As Christians, we hear about storing up treasures in heaven. However, if we become enslaved to sin and we reject Christ, and in doing so we now squander all those quote-unquote treasures in heaven. Verse 4, by justice a king builds up the land, but he who exacts gifts tears it down. Now, here justice is being contrasted with extortion. So when a country has a good justice system, the land is built up and it prospers. But when the country gives into extortion, that is extracting gifts, the country is torn down. During the time of the Reformation, Martin Luther was concerned about indulgences, that is, paying for the forgiveness of sins. You could say that was a form of extortion, extracting gifts from someone who should have received the gift of Christ and the forgiveness of sins completely free. So we look at the Reformation as a time of building up the church, whereas the sale of indulgences was a time of tearing down the church. Verse 5, a man who flatters his neighbor spreads a net for his feet. Now, this proverb is a warning against flattering, which can be used to influence someone. But in this verse, the flattering actually backfires, so to speak, and the person doing the flattering sort of gets themselves into trouble and is entrapped. God's peace and many blessings be with you, and thank you for listening. And please take an opportunity to share this message with others. If you have enjoyed these daily devotions, please consider making a donation to Peace Lutheran Church, 24024 West Main Street, Plainfield, Illinois, 60544. Thank you again for listening.